Hello, welcome. This is my first official vlog. I tried one a little while ago, as in this morning, and unfortunately it cut out the sound after a period of time. So, welcome and hello, friends. You are welcome here. A place to hang out and to talk all about the Philippines here. Thanks for joining in. Today we're talking about real experiences living in the Philippines, specifically in the province life of Philippines. No fancy resorts, just everyday life in the Philippines. As you can see, I've got chickens running around there. This is a live feed, so both of these are live videos. Look at that. Lots of animals around here. You have a look up in the hills up there, you can see right up, whoops, gone the wrong way, up there you can see those hills. I live right up in the highest points of Bohol, and that's about 2,800 feet up in the air, and it's quite nice up here. It's about 26 degrees, it's really comfortable. And it's not like in Manila where it's 38 degrees and 39 degrees, and then when it gets hot it gets to 40 degrees. So coconuts and swords, look at this is my sword. Well, this is a common tool used in the Philippines, and yeah, it's a real kind of machete, and we use it constantly for cutting the grass, chopping coconuts, and who knows, I may even chop a coconut later on. We'll see if you're up for it. So this is a pretty cool little sword, and everybody uses them over here. Every single person walks around with a machete on their belt or slung across their shoulders, and they'll just use it for things like cutting grass. They'll use it for making sure that snakes don't attack us and that kind of thing. So it's pretty cool. I really like having one of these, and it's quite a bit to practice with it. I'm not very accurate with it. Not very accurate at all. But good for chopping coconuts. And we'll also talk about this. Hopefully, we'll talk about this. This is not a product placement. There is a brand on the back. But this is a really essential thing to have in the Philippines, especially if you've got a motorbike. So we'll talk about that. If you know what it is, let me know in the comments. Now, let's see what we can do here. Let's just switch up the scene. And we've got temperature. So if you can hear that sound at the moment, that is my dog. He's not he's not very happy at the moment. He's in his cage and he really is annoyed at the chickens wandering around. How did I get to the Philippines? Well, in 2023, at the end of 2023, I left a wonderful job. I was a teacher. I taught digital technologies, head of digital technologies. I taught media, etc. And I moved here to live permanently here. I have been here 15 months, and for the first part, I was in Cavite. So that was 38 degrees, 39 degrees at this time of year. Really hot. But I loved it, and I had a lot of adventure. I moved here, bought a motor scooter, and moved vlogging through Cavite, Manila, Laguna, and Batangas. And there are lots to learn there. And I've got lots of those videos on my blog. So if you have a look at my channel, you can see a lot of those videos. Currently, I've started live videos because I want to actually expand into that field. And I hopefully, when I get my drone back, I had my drone crash. Hopefully, when I get my drone back, I will be able to um, vlog here in live and actually have the drone, and you'll be able to see where I am, etc. So that'll be interesting. I haven't done that before. And my dog is really going crazy over there. So after I moved to Cavite after 6 months, I moved down to Cavite. I moved down to Bohol. And Bohol, in comparison, is very clean, very huge amounts of fresh air. It's beautiful. It's like living on a farm up here. There are some places in Bohol that are very much city. So some of the places like Tubagon and across to Tagbilaran, they are quite industrialized, lots of people. But Bohol is a quite a big island, and where I am, I'm about 2 hours away from those cities, and I just live in this province. So the lifestyle is wonderful. I wake up every day. I decide what I'm going to vlog on and how I'm going to vlog. And I have breakfast. Very simple life. Very simple breakfast. Um, rice, eggs, maybe some fish. They call it buad here in the Philippines. But the buad is really it's dried fish, and some of it smells and some of it doesn't. The smelly one I'm not so fond of. It gets up your nostrils and just gets in your clothes and that kind of thing. But the one that is dried that doesn't smell, oh, it's lovely. And we fry it up, and it is really very, very yummy. We eat very fresh food, so straight off the farm. So we literally would go straight out here, up the road, round, and buy some talong. Talong is eggplant. So we'd buy some talong, some eggplant. We'd buy chili straight off the plants. Sometimes we even go and pick it straight off the plants and pay the vendor there. That is how fresh it is. Much fresher than the rest. And then, of course, we have rice. And rice is amazing because rice here in the Philippines is genuinely fresh. Even the oldest rice is only 4, 5, 6 months old. I love it. I never have had fresh rice before. And now I've got it. I continually have it. Oh, it's wonderful. Have a listen to that tukmo. Can you hear that lizard? It's a tukmo lizard. And they make quite a noise. Sometimes there are snakes, and they can also make some unusual noises. They sound like birds, especially the Philippine cobra. So, yeah. So the lifestyle is very relaxed. Very, very relaxed. We wake up, we decide what to do, and we do it. We can make it as busy as we like or as relaxed as we like. Sometimes I string my hammock. This here, that brown thing, that's my hammock, and I'll just lie there for ages, enjoying life, looking around, smelling the fresh air. It becomes very, very, very relaxing. So I moved to Bohol, and I've travelled extensively throughout this island. And you can see some of those travels, which are different to my YouTube channel. You can see them on other platforms, like that blue platform that we know about. And they're a completely different style of vlog. And they show different people and different events. So they're quite different. But the people that I've met have been truly, truly wonderful. I cannot say enough good about the Filipino people. Um, and Bohol is very, very special. Very, very special. In the last 3 weeks, I've been to Cebu 4 times. And what that means is that we travel 2 hours to Tubigon, and then we get on the ferry and we travel 2 hours on the ferry to Cebu. We go to the visa office and we've dealt with that. And it hasn't been fun dealing with that, but it's been interesting. Um, but enough about me. Um, Feel free to ask questions, any questions that you like about um, life here and what it's like. I'd love some interaction to go on. I don't want it just to be a monologue with me talking. But I suspect that this one will be much more a monologue today. Um, so start putting questions in the chat as you like. And if you get this and watch this when it's not live, I will answer them either right there or I'll answer them in my next vlog. Currently, it's 26 degrees, 79 degrees Fahrenheit, which is kind of nice. So let's talk about accommodation, electricity, phone, internet, water, mosquito nets. So accommodation here is basic. It's not what you would call Western standard, and that's okay. I love it. You can see this house across the way. That's the kind of house that I live in. It's slightly different to that. It has its own facade and own look, but I love living here. There are challenges. Electricity goes out up to 3 times a week, but generally only once every 2 or 3 weeks. And then when it goes out 3 or 4 times that week, and then it will come back in. It has been a bit of a frustration because as you're vlogging, you need power, especially with my computer. And I can't vlog while I haven't got power unless I'm using this laptop. So electricity can be an issue. It's not expensive. It's about 3,100 peso for me a month with my wife. And talking about my wife, I came to Bohol and I got married in September, and that's why we're going to Cebu to deal with the 13A visa, and we'll tell you about that later. Phone. Phone is not expensive. Phone is really not expensive. It's about 199 peso every 2 weeks for me. So 100 peso for me is around $2.70. So it's about $5 a month for the phone. And that includes all your data and that kind of thing. And it works well enough for me. I use Globe. And that is not product placement. That's just explaining what I'm doing. Internet, we actually use Starlink. So we have, my wife works at night. And so she needs a constant internet connection, and she needs constant electricity. And so we have a generator which is very, very loud when we use it, but that goes on all night. And last night it went all night for, not all night, it went for about 2-3 hours, very loudly as she was working. So she finds it difficult to hear what's going on. One day we'll have a better solution to that. Water. So we call it too big in Visaya. Water has been a little bit of an issue at the start. So we have regularly run out of water up until they got this brand new pipe in. So for 3 months, we did not really have a consistent supply of running water. That's okay. We coped with that. We just carried buckets of water, which is a pain. But now that it's all set up, it's rare that we're having to do that. There was a blowout of the pipe just about a week and a half ago, and that took about 2 days to fix. Mosquito nets. Well, we have to sleep with mosquito nets. It's different over here. If we don't sleep with mosquito nets, we get bitten all night, and it just drives you insane. Lucky I haven't had dengue fever, so we're having to get into bed and out of bed with mosquito nets all the time. So it's challenging. Um, Food. So there are only a few restaurants around here. Okay, so there's one about 20 minutes away, up to near Sawang, and there's a beautiful one in Carmen. Actually, there's a couple in Carmen because that's more of a tourist area. And some of those restaurants are wonderful. There's a really good one called La Nino or El Nino, something like that. And the food there is just amazing. It's as good as anything I've eaten in the West. It is Filipino style, but wow, it's really, really yummy. And takeout, well, we do have takeout, but it's not McDonald's and it's not KFC, not up here. There is McDonald's in a few of the cities on Bohol. Tagbilaran has at least one, if not two or three, and I think it's Tubigon has one, and yeah, I really don't miss McDonald's. um, but what we have is we have local produce, and they cook it up as a barbecue. So they'll put some pork barbecue on, a lot of pork, or barbecue chicken, and we'll have takeout barbecue chicken. So really yummy, very very yummy. Um, you want more, definitely, definitely. So that's takeout. It's not expensive. So takeout might cost us, 270, 300 peso for two of us. Or a restaurant would be anywhere from about 270 peso through to about 1,000 peso, depending on the standard. So the top quality ones are about 1,000 peso, about 27 Australian dollars for a meal for two. Or if you go down to El Nino, it costs us anywhere from about 600 to 800 peso for two of us with drinks and everything like that. Animals. So as you can see, I live in the province. I live up here in this beautiful area, and we have lots and lots of different animals here. There are monkeys at the base of that hill. I haven't seen them yet because I haven't actually been close to that base. That's something that I am going to do, but we'll do that in a vlog at some point. And chickens. We have lots and lots of chickens wandering around, lots of cats, lots of dogs wandering around. So dogs and cats can be quite dangerous because of the rabies virus. So you don't want to get bitten. As soon as you are bitten, it doesn't matter whether it's the tiniest little bite, you must go and get some rabies shots. And that is not fun. I'm serious. It's not fun. I got bitten by this little kitten, and you may see this kitten wandering around here. It's the white one. It's beautiful. It's got bright blue eyes. But it bit me here, 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 and here on my thumb. And I had to have the most painful injections that I've ever had. They are incredibly painful. You're holding your breath for each part. Now, I had to have an injection in each site where it actually penetrated, and this was because I had multiple bites on two different limbs. If you have a normal bite, just one bite, you'll have to have an injection in your arm. It costs about 500 peso a time, and then a week later come back again, get another two injections, and a week later come back and get another two injections. But For me, unfortunately, it was my hand. Um, it was it was really very painful directly into the site. I don't want to do that again. It makes you very cautious of cats, very cautious of dogs. Our own cat and our own dogs have got anti-rabies vaccines, and so they're up to date at the moment. Um, so yeah, dogs and cats can be quite dangerous. And the other thing is that as you walk down the street, dogs will chase up after you if they are in a particular area. So I've had that happen a few times. It genuinely doesn't happen right here, but it does happen at different spots. And they'll chase after your motorbike, or they'll chase after you personally. So that can be a little bit scary. It's very different to the West in that respect because in the West, all dogs tend to be friendly except the ones that have got muzzles on them or something like that. But here, dogs are not super friendly. My dogs are friendly, but not every dog is. And so Filipinos are very, very cautious, incredibly cautious about dogs. If they see a dog, if they see my dogs, they're very careful about them. So it's a different culture from that perspective. Roosters, oh my goodness. Roosters just every morning going off, and they camp on the top of my roof, and they make lots of noise. And 4 a.m. if they wake up, they are yelling. So you just got to get used to that. I'm quite okay with it. It kind of makes me feel like I'm in the country. It kind of makes me feel like I'm really enjoying life. But it took me a while to get that. If you were to go to Manila and Cavite, you have roosters everywhere. You have them tied up, and they are used in cockfighting and all sorts of things. And they are constant noise over there as well. You can kind of hear chicken over there coming in through here. We have to have little gates across our place here so that the chickens don't wander into our house and try and eat our cat food. It's very funny. So we chase them out constantly. We get little tiny little chickens that run into our place and start eating the cat food. So we've got ways of dealing with it, but it's all fun. Carabao. Oh, there goes my dog. Carabao. If you uh, have a look over down that hill there that you can see. You can you would yesterday there was a carabao there, and she was going around. She was lovely, very big, and they're kind of inquisitive, and they come up to you and they kind of look at you. So they're you've just got to be really um, careful of them. You don't want them to run because they could hurt themselves. They're very precious over here, and I love them. Goats. We have goats wander through here. We used to have 6 wandering through here, but now there's only one left, and she's lovely, and she comes up and talks to us. This is my neighbour wandering through the camera, and he's a great guy. He's one of the twins. And you can see the little chickens running around there. So cute. It's so cute. Snakes. We do have snakes here. And my dog is just going crazy at all the chickens wandering around. But snakes. We do have Filipino cobras. We have king cobras. We've had to deal with some king cobras, Philippine cobras, and we've had to deal with a different kind of venomous snake just over here. So we've had them as close as this little house here on the far right, and we've had them as close as there's a house behind me, and that was in their kitchen area. So that was a Philippine cobra over there, and it was a king cobra over here, and then a very different one across there. So there we go. There's snakes, goats, animals, dogs. So the other thing that we've got is it feels like I am in the Garden of Eden, and we have fresh coconut. This one I found just lying around, and it's got fresh liquid in it, and it's pretty cool. We just have them everywhere, and we would use the sword, as I call it. It's got a different name, but I like to call it my sword, to chop the actual coconut and drink out of it and eat out of it, and we use it for making all sorts of things. There are some wonderful dishes made with coconut. Now, let's have a look. Now, transport. Now, I was mentioning before, this is actually not a brand advertisement. It just happens to be tyre sealant. And we really do need this kind of stuff when travelling around here. Our roads, if you have a look at the road here in front of us, you can see it's really, really, really rough. So where we are, it's incredibly rough. And that just, it's like it rips through your tyres. And so my tyres on my motorbike's the red one over here, the furthest one to the right, the red one there. That goes through tyres every 3,000 to 4,000 kilometres. One set of tyres only lasted 1,800 kilometres before it got beyond repair. In fact, it burst as I was taking it back to the store to get a new tyre on. So yeah, tyres are your biggest issue. They're not expensive, but it takes a while. So I've got to go 2 hours to get my next tyre, and I've got to get it now. So I'm avoiding driving at the moment until I go to Tagbilaran, because I've got to go and all the way to Tagbilaran to get that particular tyre. There just aren't that particular tyre up here in the province. So I do a lot of motorbike riding with my wife on the back, and it's good. Everybody tends to drive at around 30 kilometres an hour, maybe 35. So me as a Westerner, I'm travelling at 60 to 80 kilometres an hour. It's only a small bike. It's only a ADB 160. Over here, that's a big bike. But as a 160, it really only comfortably does 90 kilometres an hour. I can take it to 100, but it feels like it's pushing it. So I tend to travel at 80 kilometres an hour, and the traffic actually doesn't cope with that kind of speed. The people coming towards you don't understand that you're travelling that fast. So I've had to adjust that even more, and I've gone even to making my average 55 to 60 just to keep everybody happy, because they don't cope with 80 kilometres an hour. Batteries. You can't get a battery up here either. I might be able to get one through Temu. Temu is actually a really good way of getting product into the Philippines. But I don't know if they can do a battery. We'll see. So batteries, if your battery dies, you're in trouble, especially with the scooter. So you've got to have alternates for that. If I want to take a bus from here to Tagbilaran, it takes about 4 hours. But it's not expensive. It's not expensive at all. It might cost me 400, 300 pesos, something like that, to get all the way out in 4 hours traveling. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So that's tires, batteries, transport. So I'm just going to open it up now. Where are we at? If you've got any questions, I'd love to be able to answer you. So just type in your question now. I'd love to be able to answer your questions. It would really help me. And at some point, if you want to, you could provide some support if you wanted to, in the way of maybe a super. That's fine. I'm not desperate for them, but it's nice to have them. But anyway, I really, really would love to talk to you. So, got any questions? Just type them in now. Let's talk about banking while we're here. My dog's going crazy again. Banking is different over here. I do a lot of online banking, as in backwards and forwards between Australia and here. And I can send money to my wife and then she can go get it. But we use Gcash a lot, and we use ATMs. ATMs are about 250 peso per transaction for a foreign card. Sometimes it's 300 peso for a foreign card. So it's not cheap. So it cost me about 1,000 peso just to get money out of the bank, which is about $27 a month. And when Filipino costs are, $27 for, a really, really, really top-notch meal for two, that's not cheap. So we're getting our 13A visa, and we'll be able to get a Filipino bank. And so if we can get to a Filipino bank and get a Filipino card, it costs us about 20 to 25 peso per transaction. So it's a lot cheaper to become a Filipino or to use a Filipino bank as a Filipino citizen or as a 13A resident. So the problem with that, of course, is that if you come in on the tourist visa, which I have, and I am still currently on the tourist visa, if you come in on the tourist visa, you can't get a bank account until you get a permanent style visa. So I'm still waiting to get to the bank for that, and we're just waiting on our final ACR card and our final visa to come through. Talking about visas. So the 13A visa is the visa for married couples. For if you marry somebody in the Philippines, you can get a permanent visa, a 13A visa. Now, my costs for my visa as a tourist have been between 3,000 and 6,000 peso every time, and it's every couple of months or every 6 months. In the Philippines, that's a good deal of money. When you get your 13A visa, you've got to go for it twice. You've got to go for it the first time as a probationary, and it cost us in total, all the expenses to it, somewhere in the vicinity of 16,000, 17,000 peso. Then we've got to do it again next year, and it will cost about the same. The reason it cost that much this time was because we had to go back 4 times because Annalyn works at night. So to get to Cebu, we had to go at 7 o'clock in the morning, which limited us. By the time we got there, it was 12 p.m. When we got there, the sign on the window said, "We only process the 13A visa on Tuesdays." And we were there on a Monday. So we had to come back on a Tuesday. So it cost us about 3,000 peso just in transport. 6,000 peso in transport for the 4 times. So the second time we got there, we ran out of time to fill the forms out because we filled the forms out beforehand, but they said, no, that's not right. It's not right. That's not right. And every time we'd come back, the form was filled in wrong, even though we look at it and go, what? Why? A perfect example is that they would not accept a certified copy of my passport. They would only accept a photocopy of my passport. If it was certified, they wouldn't accept it. Things like that. We had to get some solicitors stuff as well, some certified documents as well, a certified joint letter and that kind of thing. And that cost us about 1,000 peso a time. So in the end, the expenses were around 16,000 so far, and we've got to go to Cebu again to get my ACA card, and then one more time to actually get the visa stamped into my passport. So it's quite an effort to get the 13A visa, but once you've got it fully, it only costs about 300 peso a year. So I'm happy with that. It's much better than this year I've spent on visas maybe almost 40,000 peso on visas. So yeah, it's much cheaper. Getting married was there's a lot of paperwork that you got to do. So just when you come, if you decide to get married to a Filipino, just come and let her talk to everybody, and you just hand the money out. Just hand the money out. Let her deal with everything, because it's mostly in Visayan up here, and sometimes they'll speak in English and they'll speak to you in English, but it's really a great idea and keeps your brain active to learn the language. But I am in no state to be able to talk with any depth in Visaya yet. So I'm practicing. My practice called Visaya, and I plan on really understanding this language. It'll be a great trick to play on some people one day, to do a video where they're worried about talking to me in English, and I'll start talking to them fluently in Visaya. That would be wonderful to be able to do that, but at the moment I can't do that. So what is this simple life? Because it is a very simple life. So every morning I get up and I go for a swim in this little spring. When I say little spring, it's not a little spring. It's about the size of this space that you're watching here, about that size of that ground. So it's quite nice, and it's about 3.5, 4 feet deep, and it's quite nice. And in fact, it's beautiful. It's stunning. And I eat simple food. I eat talong or eggplant. I eat buad, fresh food, fresh fish. Very, very, very fresh. In fact, they actually drive the fish up to here to in between these two motorbikes, and everybody will come out and buy fresh fish that was just caught that day. In terms of shopping, a lot of the stuff we can get just down at Sawa. So that's about 20 minutes away. And so 20 minutes away is not very far, and we do the wet market up there. So what a wet market is that they have literally chopping up meat straight off the bone. It's not something that we're used to at Safeway and Woolworths and the food Costco and that kind of thing. We're not used to seeing it like that. It's not like a butcher in Australia. It's different. It's out in the open. It's not refrigerated, but it is incredibly fresh, because it's literally just been slaughtered that day, and they're just chopping it up and giving it to us, or we're buying it. And they've got fresh fish there, and most of the stuff we just get from there. But then we do like some Western stuff, so we'll travel 2 hours at some time to go, and we'll buy some, tends to be Western style biscuits or real coffee, because here it's it's 3-in-1. It's the place of 3-in-1 coffee, and it's okay, but it's not the same as real coffee. And I have a coffee machine, so I want real coffee. So we go off and we buy that. Western stuff is much more expensive to buy than stuff that's made in the Philippines. So anything that's brought in, it's the same kind of price, maybe a little bit more as you get it in the West, but on a Filipino wage, that's quite a lot. That's quite a lot, and I kind of live on a Filipino style wage, so occasionally we get that kind of stuff. But there are Filipino brands that I really do like, of food and biscuits, and so we'll go to Tagbilaran and get that kind of thing. So there's dewberry. I love that. It's really yummy. So very simple life. Fresh rice, fresh fish, fresh chicken, and lots of animals. And I really love being here. There are some language barriers, but not a huge amount. There are enough language barriers to really want to learn the language, but you can get away with a lot of things, as in you can talk English, and there are a lot of people that do speak English up here. Beaches, for me, I love going to a beach, and they're about 3/4 of an hour away, and it's really lovely to be able to go down there. And on the way, we can also go to Hagna, where there's a beautiful series of shops there that we can actually go and have a coffee, and some lovely restaurants down there, overlooking the bay. It's very different to living in Australia. It's got a different kind of cleanness. Have a look at this little kitten here. Can you see that little white kitten there in front of us? That was the one that bit me. That was the one that got me the rabies shot. But she is lovely, as in she is gorgeous. She has got the most beautiful blue eyes. But she's terrified of me, especially after the bite. And I don't really encourage her. All right, so we've got somebody starting up a machine. So I will call that the end of the stream. Oh no, he's going off on his motorbike, so he'll be gone. Motorbikes are the way to go. Anyway, the people here are wonderful. Really wonderful. Anyway, I'm going to go. Thank you for being with me. I love it. Have a watch of this if you've just joined us. Have a look. Catch you later. Don't forget to subscribe.